Happening this past weekend, Gift Bailu has been tracking Navy in the Mid-South all season. Let's hear his perspective on the midshipman result from the weekend.
You know, there was something that I loved about this because this was a game that I thought was going to be a good matchup. And it did. Like, Navy came out punching. This game was only a 4-point game at halftime. And the only thing that I can say that St. Mary's has the advantage on was they were able to win the turnover battle. Navy just kept incurring penalties after penalties, and it did not work into their favor. You cannot turn the ball over against a team like St. Mary's. But you look at Navy, this team is still formidable. St. Mary's is not as impervious as we'd like to believe. And I have to say, it was a really good game to be able to watch on this one.
After this week's win over Arkansas State, Lindenwood leading the Mid-South can still be caught by life, but here's what they've done this spring. 8-1 overall, a couple of wins over Arkansas State, and that 7-point loss to Life does stick out a little bit, but they played pretty well thus far in the spring. All right, we bring in Gift Bailu from GiftTime Rugby now. Gift, what's up? How you doing today?
Man, I am having a great day. You know, a little bit of remembrance for this month because it's a great month. Not only is it HBCU Rugby Classic Month, but it also was International Women's Day a couple days ago. Got to give a remembrance to the wonderful rugby women, Phaedra Knights, Komageti Fishpin, Nye Tappers, Patty Marie Jarvie, Barbara Bond, Victoria Feline. Man, the list goes on. Rosalind Chow, Jules McCoy, you know, Elif Kelter. Man, it's great. It's great to celebrate the women of rugby and around the world.
They've earned it and they deserve it every single day as well, Gift. So I appreciate you doing that shout out for us today. Let's get to the action from the weekend now. Almost a statement sort of from Lindenwood, kind of taking care of Arkansas State, you know?
You know, I love what happened this week on a lot of levels. So let's put this into context first. The score is a far more misleading look at what the effort was during the game. And you know me, I'm very honest. I like to make sure that when I'm critical, it's going to hit deep in the bone. But I can't say that Arkansas State got moved. Like, they got demolished. Like, the score looks like it did, but they didn't. What really was is a lot of breaks. Lindenwood got a lot of breaks, but they were also able to be consistent. And it was something that we saw from last week, which was Lindenwood's depth is probably the best in the league. And you were able to catch that because they were able to start wearing down that Arkansas State team over time. And by the time you got to the second half, it was going to be a one-sided game. But Arkansas State legitimately fought this one to the end. It's just, you know, big brother doesn't allow little brother to win.
Yeah, you mentioned, Gift, that depth. You've mentioned it for a couple weeks now for Lindenwood, and you can sort of see that and feel that across rugby for the most part, too. That sort of, as we get deeper into the season, these teams start playing more matches week after week. That really starts being a factor here, right?
Absolutely. And look, I will say this because I think that it might be controversy now, but it feels a lot less so this week than it did last week. But legitimately, the playoffs are just a few weeks away. End of this month, all the games are concluded. Lindenwood, if they do not have to go through Life University, will probably end up in the national championship because not only do they have the depth, they have probably one of the best backs and then best loose forwards. Tinashe Muchena is in it. And then to be able to get Tyron Aljabori in the backs, and he played a great game. Great interception by Tyron to show out exactly how much speed Lindenwood really has. Strength with Tinashe, and then even with their number 10, they lost Lindara, who's typically there, the Argentinian, and Evan Williams kicked in, and he made kicks from everywhere, including 2 scores on the game. So Lindenwood is one that you just are not going to be able to sit back and say, well, maybe we can grind them out. No, they have people coming up behind them that will fit and move at the exact same pace as the starters do.
You mentioned
Lindenwood. Yeah,
you mentioned Lindenwood trying to go through Life. I mean, the only loss is to Life, 29-22. They got him a couple weeks, but let's look now to what Life has in front of them here coming up this weekend. They've got Davenport. What do you see in that matchup?
You know, again, Life University has been ticking upwards ever since that Arkansas State loss. I think it was always just a big reminder. Davenport, a tough team, played a nice game against Indiana this past week, but ultimately, look, Life University really is just a lot more equipped for big games like this. And I don't see that Life University taking anything softly like they did several weeks ago. Davenport, a power team, very strong in the forwards, not very dynamic in the backs. And they kind of grind very similarly to St. Mary's, but they don't have the same amount of talent as St. Mary's does. And so whenever you see them matched up with a Life University, it's a very balanced, it's a very incomplimentary matchup for them. And Life University, I would be shocked if they didn't have this game in a dominant fashion.
Like you mentioned, now's the time they start kicking into overdrive. Gift, as always, we appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on.
Man, I appreciate it. HBCU Rugby Classic, people. Don't forget it.